Hey, Mech Warriors, welcome to Bad Ben's Battle Mechs. I'm Bad Ben. So, a couple of months ago, I did a review on this book, IlKhan's Eyes Only, and it was kind of a bad review. I not only gave it a bad review, I didn't think it was such a great book, but the review itself was badly done. And I want to explain just a little bit. So, I had read through the whole book from start to finish. I found it dense and confusing, often losing the train of what's going on. Who am I even reading about? Um, I found the story in itself kind of unsatisfying uh, and unfinished. It seemed, and yeah, so that was my kind of initial impression of this book. And then I went online to see what other people were saying about it, and I found a lot of people had the same feelings that I did. A lot of people calling the wolves kind of Mary Sues, who just everything is always going their way. Uh, it's always just falling into place for them, and yeah, I kind of agreed. Now I've read the book again, not really start to finish, uh, picking out parts here and there that I want to know more about. And I'll say I had a much better time on the second read through. This book is actually awesome. What can I say? It really is. And so, my complaints from before about the story being confusing and dense and unsatisfying. Well, it is dense. It's kind of confusing. I'll still admit, you gotta pay attention to the story. Uh, and you have to kind of learn the parts that you can just kind of skip over. Uh, there are a lot of parts that you can just skip over. Uh, for example, they talk a lot about the invasion of this planet and how that invasion went, you know, and that'll be a paragraph or two, and then they're on to the next planet, and then talking about totally different people, a totally different stereo, and uh, you're like, what? It kind of made my brain hurt to jump from place to place. But on the second read through, realizing how the book's structured a little better, realizing, oh, this isn't important information, really. You know where, you figure out where the important information is. And as for the story being unsatisfying, I think uh, I was expecting more of a complete story, but you got to realize, I had to realize, this story is just the beginning. This is just the setup of the IlKhan era, right? Um, it only, even though, it's 218 pages long, it covers 2 years, maybe? 3151, 3152, and is really just the setup of the IlKlan, right? Um, I hope I'm not spoiling it too much, uh, but this you know everything goes well for the wolves. I think everybody's kind of heard this already if they've read anything about this book. Yeah, it does go all right. It doesn't actually go great for the wolves, honestly. If you read through it, a lot of stuff goes wrong for the wolves through this book as well. Uh, a lot of things go wrong for several people, the Capellans included. And when this book ends, this is just the setup. So if you're like, yeah, waiting for the wolves to fall, waiting for stuff to happen, uh, it's coming. It will come in the next source book, the next whatever this is. It will continue the story, and I can't say what's going to happen, but I have an idea. I have a feeling of things to come. So yeah, the story. Are the wolves Mary Sue's? I don't actually think so. Now, I'm not going to get into the story a whole lot. I got to stop myself before I spoil this whole thing, because you should go out and read it for yourself. But there's a lot of players. There's a Raven Alliance. There's Clan Sea Fox. The Capellans have a major part in it. And, of course, the Wolves. And lots of stuff happens. But it's only a year and a half, right? And so, yeah, I'm not going to continue too much. But are the wolves Mary Sue's? I don't think so. We have to wait and see what happens. This is only the beginning of the story. Okay? So that's all I'm going to say about that. So let's actually look at what this book really has to offer. It has a table of contents. Obviously, a table of contents. I don't know why I have this here. The table of contents is a good table of contents. Unfortunately, it is not one of these where you can just click on it and it takes you to the page where you want to go. Anyways, that's not all that exciting. Maps. It has plenty of nice, very understandable maps. Not only tiny ones like this, there is, at the end, an enormous 2-page map. Very nice. It has awesome artwork. Look at that. And this is just one of so many really great pictures. I'm not going to show off a whole bunch of pictures. I don't want to spoil the whole thing, But the artwork in this book alone is honestly worth the money. I really, really like it. So, this section here, the shape of things to come. This is the beginning of kind of the main body, and this is the section that I had the most complaints about. This is the most dense information, but that's actually really good. When you really want to know everything that happened, this is the book for you. It's dense, right? And this goes on for 100 pages or so and explains all of the events in very, very much detail. Really good, but this is the section that threw me last time. It's long, very long, and confusing and dense, and like I said, everything before. That's really only about this section of the book. Right? And it makes up probably the largest part, but it's not the whole book, not even by a long shot. If you can see, I got a whole bunch of tabs open here of other things I want to show about this book. So this was the section which is the main body of the events that happen that I had the most problem with. But on its second reading through and skipping over parts that I didn't really care about, I had a lot more fun with this, and I can actually give it a thumbs up. What do we have next? Then you get all kinds of sections. So here in the factions, they're going to tell you all about the main players in it. The wolves, obviously, Sea Fox, Ravens, Capellans, all the big players get a really, really thorough whole write-up here in this faction section. Really great. Then we have people. They tell you all about all these different people, their personalities, a write-up on each one, with great artwork that goes along with all of them. Good section. I like it. It's kind of, there's a lot of people, and it is kind of hard to keep track of all of these names and so on and so forth, but it's very helpful information. This part is so good. I love this part. The atlas, This is just Altair, and you can see it has a whole write-up on just the planet of Altair, right? And then you get the planet of Brian. And this is going over all of the different planets in kind of those small map areas. I don't know if it has every single planet, but these are the important ones, history of them. As you can see, it's all got all of the information about the planet. Great for role playing. Now, this part around the sphere, and I really like how they did it. They split the sphere into 4 sections, so 1, 2, 3, and 4, and then they'll give you a little write-up on everybody in this section, and then in the next part they give you a write-up about everybody in that section and tell you what are they up to, what's going on in those areas of space. This was a lot of fun. I think I liked this section of the book the best. It wasn't nearly as dense. It just kind of flowed. I could read it more easily. As you can hear, I'm not a super well-educated person, and these kind of books are a little difficult for me. Timeline, a super detailed timeline of the whole events from start to finish. Awesome. I love this. I love it because, I don't know, it just puts everything into a very concise timeline. I don't remember all of these events. I can't remember all of it, but you want to see what happened on this date? There you go. Whole timeline here. Rules annex. This is cool. So they have a whole setup for rules about doing a campaign in the around this setting, which is always awesome. More rules for more campaigns, more games to play, and this whole book has it's just so packed with lore that you're going to be able to. You could play 100. You could play 1,000 different games based. I don't know if it's 1,000 really, but all based on the events that just take place in this book that only cover like a year and a half of the whole BattleTech universe, which is amazing. There's so much information here. Some more nice artwork. I guess that's Alaric looking at all of his reports, sitting on his giant throne there. Then this part. Oh, this is so good. And I didn't even talk about it in my first review. I was just talking about why I didn't like the book. And I didn't really go into this section, which is so good. Random assignment tables for battle mechs. This is Clan Wolf Frontline. You got lights, mediums, heavies, assaults. It's up to 18, so you roll a 3d6. Bam. These are so good. People have been asking for stuff like this forever, and this is all, up to date IlKhan era assignment tables that you can, make up a whole force with if you want. Really awesome. And that brings us kind of to the end of the book, but there's we just skimmed over all the different sections. You can spend weeks with this thing. Longer. You could spend, if you want to play out all the different scenarios, if you really get involved, the amount of content in this book is very deep. Very, very, very deep. And that's why, in the end, in the second, more complete review, I'm giving this book a wholehearted 2 thumbs up. And I regret my old review of this book. If you haven't seen that review, don't go watch it. It's not interesting. It's a bad review. It's badly done. And I hope that this one is a little better, a little more complete, and actually reflects how I feel about this book on a much more complete read through. And that's important because it's so dense. Right? I've said that 50 times throughout this thing. It's so dense. And it is. And that's actually a good thing. And the whole story with the wolves and what's going on, it's just the setup. more is coming, and we have to see what's coming. So it's too early to make any judgment on anybody. All right, so I'm going to try to keep it a little shorter. That's all I really got to say about the book this time. Hope you enjoyed. Thanks for watching. Hope you have a good one. Hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.